So I know that Disney might have a little to worry about. It is earnings report day after all, and well, they have a lot of things going on. But I think I might have one more Disney just might need to know. What a big day today is, everybody. How about this? We've got the Disney earnings call coming out. We've just had all kinds of entertainment news. We've had sort of culture war clashes going on all over the place in Hollywood and entertainment. Video games now are on fire when it comes to all kinds of controversies. And here we are, me and Vash Sky, just sitting here having a good time talking theme parks today. It's a pleasant time with us. Don't you enjoy it? Well, welcome back, Vash. This is a great thing to have you back on. You were with me on the very first day the channel launched. That was the one where we handled something that was way more controversial. We had to reveal that there is a medical camp that is most likely involuntary, located exactly adjacent to Hong Kong Disneyland, even sharing the road infrastructure with the parking lot as you're going to the theme park. So you either go to the theme park or you go to the medical internment camp. And so that was a huge thing. People did not know about that, and you were quite the expert. You laid it out. It was perfect. And so that was quite the video that you joined me for in the beginning. So welcome back. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you. Well, the Chinese government hasn't picked me up yet, and that's good. So
the helicopters. Wait, no, it's not going to be a helicopter. It's going to be a balloon.
It's going to be a balloon. Oh no! Yeah.
Get your slingshot ready, and don't go to Montana or any of those locations along the way that it drifted.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I will take that. I will heed your advice, good pro. But I think I'm doing pretty all right, and I'm glad to be talking about maybe happier things.
Fantastic, and I'm hoping this video is at least as much fun as shooting down a spy balloon after it has completed its mission. We're going to try at least meet that bar. We're going to be that much fun. Now, before we get into this, tell the audience, what have you been up to since we last got the chance to talk? What have you been covering? What's been sort of your forte as of late?
I've been covering everything Walt Disney Company. Obviously, the company has been going through the Walt Disney Company, that is, has been going through some turmoil. Let's say at its C-suite level.
Definitely.
Right? And so we've been covering everything from Nelson Peltz. We've been covering everything from the Bob Iger transition. We're actually going to be covering the earnings report ourselves as well, and giving some keen insight on that, or at least anything that we can glean and can offer up to our viewers. But also I've been at Disneyland recently, enjoying the Disney 100 celebration, so we've been talking about that as well. So all things theme parks, all things Disney.
Well, I hope everybody will take the time to go into this video's description, click on your name, on your channel's name, and go explore the content that you have. I really think people should be over there. I think they should be subscribing, and to all of those in your orbit covering this stuff. You guys specialize sort of in the West Coast, but you're doing all sorts of theme park coverage. I think it's fantastic. This is also a great time to remind everybody that it's really important for you to click the like button, the share button, subscribe if you haven't, and that little notification bell down there, click it and stick it to the algorithms. We'd also love to hear your commentary. This is not a monologue, and this is not two people just speaking to one another in a vacuum. We really do care about what you say, and we're interested in the dialogue between us and the audience. You help us to aim in the right direction. So make sure you do all of those things. That tells YouTube that you like this video and that others just might as well. So please go ahead and do that. Now, as we get into this today, let me let the audience in on a very fun little secret. You see, the audience, they've all pretty much seen the title for this, and they've pretty much seen the thumbnail. And so, although they might not know with specificity what it is we're covering just exactly, they have a much better idea than you do. And so part of the fun is that in all of us who are now engaged in this video, you are the only one who is in the mystery box this time. So how does that feel? How does it feel to be in that little bit of a spot waiting to find out what it will be?
Wow, I am honored and privileged to be here.
Well, I will say that this will be, if this comes to pass, this is rather big news. This will be a big one. So let's dive straight in. We're
Fantastic.
going to start off with DizDining.com, and this is an article by Kristen Swenson, who I have read some articles from Miss Swenson before, and they all tend to be very good. It says, "Is Universal catching up to Disney?" Comcast CEO thinks so. This is from a little bit ago, but it's pertinent to what we're going to discuss.
Correct.
Here's what it says. For years, Disney has been at the top of not only the theme park game, but also the film and television game. Walt Disney World Resort, by the way, that's the crown jewel of the Disney park system itself, quite the moneymaker for Disney, is one of the top vacation destinations in the world. Clarification, it is the top vacation destination in the world. And Disney movies, as well as Marvel and Star Wars, are some of the top grossing films of all time. However, they are not the only big name in the game. Over the years, Universal, which has theme parks just minutes from Walt Disney World, has been working hard to increase its visibility and gain some Florida travelers of its own. And boy, have they been successful with that. In the past few years, Universal has created some truly incredible rides, including Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure and Jurassic World Velocicoaster. They are also currently in the midst of building a brand new theme park. That's right, an entire theme park next to Universal Orlando and Islands of Adventure. The park is called Epic Universe, and it is expected to open sometime between 2025 and 2026. Let's move on to the big quote we've got here from Brian Roberts, CEO of Comcast. It says, "We're then going to open Nintendo World in Orlando in an entirely new park, huge scale, called Epic Universe, kind of the size of Universal now, a whole another park, hotels, restaurants in 2025. Massive construction going on now. We're investing in this business all over the world, and we're playing offense." Note that last line, we're investing in this business all over the world, and we're playing offense.
Correct.
Goes on to talk about how they're going to be taking on Disney. And truly, Universal has gotten to the point now where they seem to be shoulder to shoulder with Disney. Now, they haven't overtaken the Magic Kingdom in Orlando in terms of attendance, but they are absolutely competitive with every other park in the Walt Disney World Resort. And I don't know the numbers. I assume that Disneyland is still the biggest park on the West Coast, but Universal Studios Hollywood they have made huge strides. Can you tell the audience a little bit about Super Nintendo World and your thoughts there?
Yes, Super Nintendo World has proven to be an extremely powerful brand that Comcast has engaged with when it comes to Nintendo itself. And the merchandise sales, I mean, from what I experienced firsthand, I haven't been able to go inside of Super Nintendo World as of yet. I plan to around the end of February. But from just being around the park and just seeing all the merchandise sales and so forth and people's enthusiasm for it, people are extremely excited for this land to be incorporated as part of the Universal Studios Hollywood theme park enterprise. And I will echo those sentiments from Brian Roberts. Comcast, Universal seem to be going all in on the theme park business. And the big rumor right now is that Super Nintendo World is expected to be so successful that they're dedicating even more of their what is it?
About intellectual properties from Nintendo, or more of their land?
Yeah, more of their production facilities that they have for their shows or
now is that
movie
to
productions.
Is that to add a Donkey Kong roller coaster, or what is that? What is that
Yes.
they're looking to expand?
So they want to dedicate more of their sound stages. I believe sound stages 5 through 10, if I'm not mistaken, that are adjacent right to the Super Nintendo World property, and dedicate those towards an expansion. Whether it be Donkey Kong is the biggest rumor as of right now, and obviously Epic Universe is getting a version of that. But there are plans for maybe a Zelda type thing down the line as well, if it is as successful as they think it might be.
And you have, I'm assuming you've heard, I've been reporting that Nintendo and partners are looking at creating a Nintendo cinematic universe that is not just Mario, but they want to move this into Metroid, into Zelda, into Star Fox, et cetera, et cetera. Correct. And so it seems to me that is sort of, that's one part of this massive machine that is moving Nintendo merchandise, moving Nintendo enthusiasm beyond the games now and onto big screens, small screens, and into theme parks. And from everything I can tell, it seems to me that Nintendo is one of the biggest threats to Disney. And I don't mean that as in, they're going to destroy Disney, but I mean that in that it's an IP that is, well, it's a number of intellectual properties that are all interconnected. And they have the ability to be extremely successful with all of the Nintendo characters. They're all very well received by the public. But then you throw on top of that, Universal also has the Harry Potter stuff, and that was really their first step into being thematically on par or greater than Disney. Would you say so?
Yes, yeah. The Harry Potter verse, let's say, changed the game in terms of theme parks. And when it debuted in 2010, I mean, it really put Universal on the map. I believe the lead designer of the Wizarding World Enterprise was actually hired from Disney while that was actually going through. It was Scott Trowbridge himself, actually, who then ran herd on the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge project that Disney would eventually build themselves. But this whole kind of renaissance of this theme park war going back and forth really started with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter back in 2010. It really did change the landscape and change the enterprise. In fact, I was just hearing some statistics around the opening of that big themed land. When it opened, remember that was during the time when Comcast was absorbing NBC Universal into the fold of its multimedia enterprise, and they were looking over the numbers while that merger was actually taking place, and they were stunned to find that their entire investment into the Wizarding World of Harry Potter was actually paid back in its first summer just from butterbeer sales alone, and that's kind of what has. Yes,
I did not know that statistic. Wow, that is fantastic.
Oh, it was incredible, and the Comcast guys are going, "Whoa!" I mean, I didn't realize that theme parks were such big business, and so that is
going to play into some of the news we're going to talk about.
Absolutely, and that's why Brian Roberts, he is a theme park guy. I mean, he really does believe in the theme park product. He's not shy of turning on the money fire hose to get some of these projects built and out, and he does very well believe that they can go toe-to-toe with Disney. In fact, they had a banner in the backstage areas of Universal Orlando for a short time saying that, hey, we consider ourselves number one, in terms of this game. And that was a mantra that they had put out there for quite a bit of time with their team members and so forth, that they treated themselves as number one, that they were number one in terms of quality, in terms of value, in terms of guest experience, and so forth.
Well, you were talking about Scott Trowbridge. And in retrospect, it seems to me that, he was sort of curtailed when he was working on Galaxy's Edge to being highly focused on Smuggler's Run as opposed to the area at large. And a lot of that area was handed off to non-theme park people in the Lucasfilm Story Group to sort of manage the development of it. I think in hindsight, given the success, the gargantuan success of all of the Harry Potter lands and expansions in the Universal Studios parks, Disney may have been better off having Trowbridge have more control and better budget over the Star Wars expansion. I think we could have received something a little bit more impressive and more immersive in a way that fans would have enjoyed.
The mistake was the timeline. That was
definitely
the big limit. Oh, go ahead.
Well, even if you like the sequel trilogy, you have to admit that by narrowing the scope of the land into just one single moment in time, then you lock it in so that fans of the other eras of Star Wars, they don't have any interest in this sort of thing. So you have, older generations who are looking for Darth Vader. Well, there's no Darth Vader. And now they're in this situation on both coasts, although they're handling it differently. And that's another topic. Actually, I'm hoping very soon to have Drunk 3PO Jay on to talk about what's going on with the different coasts and how they're handling the Mandalorian and the Disney Plus shows, the integration of that into Galaxy's Edge. But anyway, let's get back onto the big topic here today, which is Universal Studios. And right now, we're going to hop into a new article that I think will begin to give you some inkling as to what it is we're aiming at here. So this one is from Theme Seekers.
I've heard about this.
It's by Ezra, I guess. Okay. Well, Ezra, we hope we got that right. This says, Universal Studios has been a long-established juggernaut in the theme park industry. Europe is also home to some iconic theme parks and resorts with a large customer base for themed entertainment. Despite this, there's no Universal Studios Europe resort to many people's surprise.
Correct.
But why is there no European park or resort in the whole continent of Europe? And it goes on to explain how Universal dipped their toes in, but things just didn't go as planned. It talks
They
about
did.
Port Aventura connection, talks about Universal Mediterranea. So, Vash, can you tell us a little bit about some of the efforts that Universal took in Europe when they were trying to make inroads there?
Yeah, I mean, this goes back all the way to the late '80s, early '90s. Actually, they wanted a European presence for the longest time. They obviously knew that Disney was looking to sink their teeth into that market, and they felt that they could actually do the same. I believe there was a plan for Universal Studios in London, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, there were other theme park enterprises that they would be teaming up with some European companies in which to actually put forward or let's say build a theme park enterprise in Europe, but nothing really kind of caught fire. And obviously, after the disastrous opening of Euro Disneyland, now Disneyland Paris, I think that
People don't know too. People don't know what a rough patch that was for Disney in trying to get that thing turned around from what it was, which was an abysmal failure, into something that's at least sustainable now.
Right. Yeah. It spent so many years in the red just to get into the black was was an astounding achievement. Now, obviously, Disney has actually raised its stake in the Disneyland Paris project from, I believe, I think they were limited in terms of how much they were actually able to invest in initially by the French government, but they've actually raised it, I believe, upwards of 90%. And so I think Disney themselves view the European market with some renewed interest, and I have been hearing internally that Universal Studios itself actually views the European marketplace as somewhere to actually expand, and it's kind of interesting because Universal has been very, very aggressive on this front. We may have recently remember hearing about a new theme park in Texas. Again, the demo.
Frisco, right?
Yes, that's just outside of Dallas, and the idea there is that you have kind of this more kind of kid-friendly theme park that is a little bit more value-oriented. Actually, Disney's own research suggests, I was just hearing this internally from Disney's own studies that they've been performing and so forth, that they're losing in two big categories. One is
really, what is this? The two categories.
Yes. You would like to know this, Pro. One is the over 50 crowd because of the politics. And two is young families because of the perception of value or lack thereof, actually. And so it's very interesting how you have a more value-oriented theme park in the middle of the country being posited by Universal Studios themselves, and they think that is a burgeoning market and something that they can kind of attract people into. And then, once their tweens become teens and maybe thrill junkies, maybe they would be willing to actually convince their families to go to maybe some other theme park enterprise like Universal Studios Orlando or Universal Studios Hollywood. So, Universal, they're really in this kind of theme park game right here. And it does not shock me or surprise me that they're interested in Europe.
So, what you said about the two categories that Disney internally feels that they're being defeated on. And I don't know. I mean, I can't verify that. I'm taking you for your word, and I don't know who your sources are, but I mean, I think you're one of the best out there. So I'll play ball with this. But that is interesting to me because in the last 2 years, I know that the push for Disney was to aim at the greater than $400,000 per year salary club, which is for all intents and purposes around the world, it's the ultra wealthy. And so that's interesting to me that they've now lost the 50 plus and the families, the young families. Well, who's probably not making the 400K plus at at those stages?
Right.
It's the ones with the little kids where one parent's staying home, or with the seniors, they're heading towards retirement. So of course you're going to lose those. Beyond that, we know that very, very few people are making as an annual salary household income 400,000 plus, but still. It seems very obvious to me that Disney would lose those two groups as they chased the ultra wealthy around the world, the global elites.
Of course. And there was some there was a thought process behind that, right? If you're very limited in terms of how many people can actually view your parks per year, right? They have a set capacity, annual capacity. Well, you're probably going to be pretty choosy about actually who comes in, and you're looking to get the big top spenders and earners, let's say, to your theme park enterprise. You know, if the world can't fit in, we saw Chapek talk about this at length about the supply limited nature of theme parks.
Sure, and Josh D'Amaro, he reiterated it once Iger took back over. He said the same thing.
Yes, right. But you know, it's the question is how sustainable is that practice? Unfortunately, the Disney, it's not at all.
Right.
But you have people working at the company who, I mean, they don't look at Disney as a long-term prospect. They're just looking to get into the office at Nike or the office at the Gap or some other bigger enterprise, and are just using the company to pad their stat sheet on the quarterly earnings report. Meanwhile, you know, you don't have much long-term thinking, you don't have much long-term planning. You just have people making choices and decisions at the moment in order to pad the stats, let's say, and then you know they go off, and whatever the consequences for their decisions, you know, that just falls on somebody else's shoulders when they leave.
Sure. And, you know, we bring this up because there was a point in time, and it was not very long ago, that Disney had no competition in terms of quality of theme park.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they were head and shoulders. They were the king. They were the queen. They were everything in between. Anything past Disney was a far, far distant cry from what Disney World and Disneyland offered. Now, Universal Studios is right there. I mean, and some people prefer it. A lot of people prefer it. Not only that, they've got Dollywood now, which is ranked the best theme park in North America in a number of different surveys. So Disney is facing this issue of quality on multiple fronts. It's not just, you know, Universal. It's even theme parks that at one time were just regional, small places to go. Yeah. So let's get into the big news now. Before we do this big news, I want to do a little clarification real fast. So one of the things that I do here on this channel and on That Park Place, and I became, I guess, you know, whatever I am, came from getting a lot of rumors right. And that comes from having sources that I go to and corroborate and all this sort of thing. But on occasion, I do miss something. And so I want to take a moment to let everybody know that we missed, let's say, the potential closure of Splash Mountain in Disneyland. But we did that for a reason. So a couple of weeks ago on That Park Place, we announced that there was a chance, and we put a huge caveat and said this is a major rumor. But we said that Splash Mountain in Disneyland might close about a week ago, and that Disney was reticent to have the same situation happen in Disney World, which was a long time of people knowing it was going to close, tons of people showing up, supporting the ride. And that's sort of like it's a negative for Disney because it shows that the attraction is hyper popular and it's the attraction they're closing. And there's no guarantee that the replacement will be as good or as beloved. I mean, it's hard to do. It's not like you create a beloved classic attraction that's one of your top 4 at any theme park it appears every day. If you could do it, you know, you'd do it over and over, and they can't because that's some kind of special.
Yes.
The reason that we got that one wrong is because we had a very highly placed person. And nobody's going to know who this is. So it's in IT at Disney. But we had a very highly placed person who let us know, hey, there's a chance this is going to happen. And we just had to get that out there with the caveat, hey, this is a big time rumor, because we felt really badly if it had closed and we were sitting on the information and people wanted to ride it one last time.
True.
Usually, though, when I do something like this, there's a level of certainty that has to be associated with it. Now, it still goes into the rumor and speculation category because we're talking about something that hasn't occurred yet. We're talking about the future. And so anything that's in the future, well, that hasn't happened. So it has to be rumor and speculation until it actually occurs. So I just want to make a category differentiation here in that, you know, with the 87% or 90%, whatever year it is, depends on the accuracy that I do with these rumors. You know, the Splash Mountain thing, it's important for us to recognize and admit and just say when we get something that's not fully right, we need to come out and say it and you know, make amends for that. But I don't think this is one of those situations, and I'm going to tell you why, and then I'm going to tell you what the big rumor, we'll put it in the rumor category, is, Vash.
Sure.
So here's the lead up to it. the other night, I guess after I had finished the live show, Renegade Online with Valiant Renegade, I was given information. Now, this information does not break any NDA, and it did not specifically say anything that that would specifically give a big thing away. But I was reading all this information. It was a lot, and it came from a source, and it was mostly unrelated to what we're about to discuss. But I came across this thing in all of this information that I'm looking at from various insiders inside the industries related to entertainment. And I'm looking at it. And I came across this part that I couldn't figure out. It was written sort of in code. And so I actually called Valiant Renegade, my buddy Valiant Renegade, called him back up, and this is close to midnight. And he's like, "What in the world are you doing? Why are you calling me?" And I said, "Hey, I've got this, and I can't figure it out."
Mhm.
And so we sat and we started reading through some of this information. Again, doesn't break any NDA, doesn't state with specificity what it is, because it's all in code.
Sure.
But we read it about 3 times, and finally he says, "You know what that means, don't you?" And I said, "No, that's why I'm calling you." And he said, "That means that Universal Studios is looking to build a park in Europe very, very soon."
Mhm.
And I said, I looked at it again, and I can't tell the audience what it says because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Who knows who's seen that.
Of course.
But I looked at it again, and I said, "Oh my gosh, you're right. That is exactly what this means." And I don't know how much I should even really say beyond just saying that Valiant Renegade and I have seen some stuff, and I very much now believe that Universal is preparing to build a very significant theme park resort in Europe in one of 3 major countries, which I won't name because I just don't know. This is one of those documents where I just don't know who's seen it. I don't know how many people know about it. I don't know who understands, the language that's even in it.
Mhm.
But that was what we came away with, and there'll be some more information coming out later this week on some other stuff we learned. But Vash, any surprise there that Universal, in my very, very strong opinion, although still rumor, that Universal is getting ready to build a major resort theme park in Europe? Any thoughts? Is that surprising?
It's actually not, because I had actually heard something similar right after the Texas announcement. So after the Texas announcement, I was informed, hey, this might not be the end of Universal's big announcement when it comes to theme park projects, around the world. Obviously, you just heard about what was going on just outside Dallas and
Sure.
what was going on in Vegas, but
Well,
this
is a big one. I mean, based
Yes.
on what we've seen, let's say, and it's not anything before the before anybody gets all excited. If anybody at Universal watching, I don't have any of your private documents that I'm talking about right now. This is not that, and nobody has broken any contract with you. I promise. But we have, we've seen some stuff, and let me just say this for the people who are out there.
Sure.
These companies, when they get ready to do something like this, they got to talk with some governments,
They do.
and they got to talk with some investors,
They do.
and they really got to talk with some serious theme park industry officials and experts who can come in and help them.
Yes.
There's a large number of people who have to be aware of this. I just don't know how many are aware of what I've seen. And I think this is going to be a huge, huge announcement. And I think they're going after Disneyland Paris.
It sounds like that's what that is. It sounds like whatever Disney's analysis has been and why they would increase their stake in the Disneyland Paris resort complex, whatever numbers that they're seeing, Universal might be looking at something very similar. And they might be seeing that the European market, in terms of its appetite for theme parks, is growing. And that if you're going to get on, if you have any ambitions about getting on the ground floor of this, it might be now.
Well, let's
it's interesting.
just say that Orlando's Super Nintendo World might not be the biggest Nintendo World for too long, although it will
Yes.
be the biggest for a while.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Vash. So
Go ahead.
I don't want to pick your brain at a time when, you say, well, I just can't talk about this because you have your own concerns, but tell us what you've heard about this beyond just it might happen. Have you heard anything as far as details?
I was actually gonna pick your brain a little bit because I very scant on details. All I heard that it was going to be a Universal Studios park in Europe. I was trying to determine whether or not they were going to maybe get back in bed with some other companies that they maybe sold some of their interests off in when it comes to some of the other European enterprises. But I wasn't sure was this going to be a new development that they had the land selected.
There was a rumor out of WDWNT.
Okay.
Out of I think Mr. Corliss did it, but maybe he didn't. But there was a rumor out of there that they were looking at buying back some properties or some equity for theme park endeavors in Europe from the past. I don't think that's true based on what I've seen. I think this is wholly new. I think it's down to potentially 3 countries that could be offered this or that could be worked with in tandem to develop it. And I don't think that Spain is involved at all. So
really,
but I'm going to hold on going too far on which 3 countries it might be.
Because I think it was Harrison Buzz Price himself who actually said that Spain was probably the most viable option.
I don't think so anymore.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's
now. I mean, we're talking about in the future. So, and we're dealing with people. That's what.
Yes.
That's who runs these companies, right? And so people, they're messy. They can change their mind tomorrow, and I can be made wrong. But based on what I've seen, I think Spain is not a candidate at this time.
Now I have an idea. I believe I was nudged a certain line. I'm trying not to spoil whatever you have or whatever, and try not to put anybody that at risk. But I've heard maybe Germany might be a country. Another, you don't have to say yes or no. That might have been considered. I doubt that they would go back to London. I know that they have. There was some talk for some time about doing a Middle Eastern theme park enterprise with the I believe it wasn't this. Was it the UAE, if I'm not mistaken, but that kind of fell through. So there is some movement in and around this space here.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you've said. How's that?
Okay. All right. Good. Cool.
I'm not disagreeing, and I'm having fun listening to the things you've heard. We can chat. We can chat after the official online conversation, and then I can tell you some stuff. But
it's really this is a really kind of interesting time here because, I mean, the Iger had always considered that the domestic market had been tapped out. I think I remember us going over, why they were moving to Asia and so forth.
That was always crazy because here's the real deal. Yeah. They want to be able to clone whatever they do all over the place, and they don't want to invest in Walt Disney World in the way they should because you have almost unlimited land in Walt Disney World. So you can throw the capacity issue out the door. You can have whatever you want there. And, I get that you're landlocked in Disneyland, but they also passed up on opportunities in Anaheim when they had the chances to create expansion pads. They chose not to buy properties they had access to. And so here we are. But, I mean, the way to grow is to grow. And if they're not going to grow, Universal is. And I don't know what Disney has thought, in regards to, did they just think that Universal was going to sit on their laurels forever? No, they're not.
Right. Well, you previously had a management structure in the form of Michael Eisner and so forth, who was very competitive with Brian Roberts, and very competitive with Universal, as it was owned by several other entities before, its current ownership by Comcast, who would go out there and almost race to beat Universal to the punch whenever it came to theme park exhibitions. Like, for example, Disney's Hollywood Studios, or at that time it was MGM Studios. Remember, that opened right before Universal's big presence in Orlando did in 1990. So but that has kind of changed as Disney has become a little bit more, I don't know, fiscally conservative with its theme park enterprise.
I don't know what you call Disney at this point. Lazy. That's what I'm going to call them.
Right. Exactly.
They don't care about sight lines as much anymore. They don't care about increasing capacity.
Right.
They don't care about. Well, let me give you this example.
Sure.
Tron, for example, it's a decent roller coaster. If you took all the theming away, it's a below average roller coaster with a gimmick.
Yeah.
You add all the theming, and it's a nice roller coaster. Except that it's yet another roller coaster in the dark using blacklight facades that you ride through. Right. And we've done that enough now. There was a time when Disney went all out, and they did things that you couldn't believe. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It's a kiddie coaster, okay?
Right.
It's for kids to get used to riding roller coasters. And yet they built, in every park they put it in, they built a freaking mountain that looks like it was dropped straight out of New Mexico or Utah. And it's amazing. It has 3 lift hills on it. It has animatronics. It has waterfalls. It has earthquakes. They used to go all out. And now they plop down 7-story warehouse buildings and they turn the lights off and they throw you through some black lights. And I'm sorry, I'm just not into that anymore. Disney can do better than that.
They can. It seems that Disney is kind of resting on their laurels. They're doing just enough to impress, for the moment. But how well? I mean, there was some real conversation about how well Tron was actually going to hold up next to Cosmic Rewind, and how Cosmic Rewind was going to hold up in the coming months and years, based on what you say there, Pro. It's essentially a roller coaster featuring a kind of a gimmicky ride system in the dark. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, but I mean, we've got some companies who are actually doing some extraordinary things. Whether it be Intamin with what's been going on with attractions like Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure, Velocicoaster kind of pushing the limits and taking a page out of RNC. It's just kind of really unfortunate how we're not seeing Disney go all out with its theme park product anymore. And like you said, expanding capacity. I mean, Walt Disney World has a limitless supply when it comes to the potential for expansion, and yet we hear Josh D'Amaro even in recent interviews saying, yeah, you know what, not really talk about supply, let's talk about demand, and saturating demand and so forth. And it's like, oh yeah, but wait a minute. I mean, when asked directly about supply, he doesn't provide much answer.
Well, I guess people are hearing it here first. I mean, there have been rumors floating about a European Universal Studios. There's been some discussions about it, but I'm here to tell you, it's still in the rumor territory because it hasn't come to pass yet.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's big and it's coming. And if Disney thought that Disney World was the only place they really had to defend themselves, they better think again, because the European market is about to have a major competitor. And I think Universal Studios is bringing everything they've got with them. So, Vash, thanks for hopping in with me today. We have got to do this more. You are a wealth of knowledge on theme parks and a fantastic guest on this show. I would love to have you on very soon again. We'll chat more about this. Vash, real quick, tell people, where can they find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there?
Well, the best place they can find me is going to be at Vash Sky. It's right down there. Just go ahead, type it in, just like it says, as we say on the show, for all the
robust
discussion, as Christine Wastelands McCarthy would actually say. She says that every single earnings call. It's so funny. And if you want to see me, well, I'm going to be on the channel Orange Grove 55, where we have some great shows there, including my own, Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove.
I'm telling you, you are a pro at this. I'm going to have to take my little. Mine is going to say WDW noob or WDW still trying to get there. Vash, fantastic job today. Thank you. And for everybody out there, we hope you enjoyed this kind of content. We're going to keep bringing it to you. I can't believe that in 1 week, I've announced the return of Daisy Ridley and Rey for Star Wars, combined with somebody else. Go watch that video.
Oh, yes.
I'm announcing that Universal Studios is coming to Europe. Again, all of these in the future, and all of these have to be in the rumor category for that reason.
Yeah.
And on Friday, I'm going to have another major announcement. We're actually coordinating with some sources to make sure it's okay to tell it, and coordinating with some other news outlets out there so that they can share in this as we get ready to roll it out. So it's going to be a wild ride. And people, let me tell you, this is not a typical week. We can't keep this up, okay? I can't keep doing this. Next week, you never know. You might come in and we're going to be talking about Dole Whips. What's your favorite Dole Whip? That's going to be the topic because I'm out of breaking exclusives.
Well, wait a minute. What if Disney puts out another Salt Mine update? I mean, you got to give us the goods.
I can't do it. Those Friday 5 p.m. drops, they're killer.
Exactly.
All right. Well, everybody, take care. Have a great one. Make sure you go follow Vash everywhere he's at. And whatever you do, wherever you are, keep growing, keep learning, and keep having fun.